Like, it never used to be normal to buy luxury, but I guess now it's becoming like a mainstream thing to do. Luxury is starting to get ruined by, I guess, just the overconsumption of it. Almost too recognizable now that it becomes not as desirable, a little bit boring.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. If you love shopping and handbag videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach my 10,000 subscriber goal this year, so all your help would be completely awesome. I wanted to talk about what I think luxury is today, or kind of discuss what is the meaning of luxury or luxury shopping in regards to maybe fashion related items. I really had to think about this today after talking to one of my friends. I asked her what she thinks true luxury is, and she says that she thinks true luxury is brands that are under the radar. If you know, you know. He thinks that brands that you tend to see in these big shopping centers, like, you know, designer shopping centers, aren't necessarily that luxury anymore, old school luxury. And I said, what do you mean? What about like a brand like Hermes? You don't think Hermes is luxury? And she said, well, I think the way that they sell their bags is not luxurious. You have to buy all these other things to buy a bag. She says they should just make the bags more expensive, and if you're a rich person, you should just be able to go in and spend the money and buy the Birkin. And I thought, that's an interesting view, because to me, a Birkin at, you know, like a average Birkin, like a Togo Birkin, is about, from what I'm guessing, about 16,000 Australian dollars, which is not cheap. It would be nice if you could just save that $16,000 and just walk into Hermes and buy the bag. And for some people that does happen, I think, in some countries, but I know it's very competitive and you are kind of pressured to buy from multiple categories, or you're not pressured, but you're kind of under the impression that you have to do that to get offered certain bags. And it would be nice if you could just walk into the store and be like, I would like a Birkin, and pay the 16,000. So at what price point would it be that you didn't have to play the game anymore? But when I think about a brand like Chanel, they've already made their classic flap, you know, now the classic flap medium is, I think it's about 15,600 Australian dollars, which is pretty much a Birkin. I feel like that in a way has made it so expensive that you will only buy it if you are rich, because at that price point, like, a Chanel bag doesn't seem like it should be that price. So I feel like they've maxed out their price to the point where you don't have to play a game to buy a classic flap. There was a period like last year where I feel like they were trying to make it like a quota bag, and you had to like buy ready to wear to buy a classic flap. But now I feel like it's at this price where if you walk into Chanel, like, you could possibly just buy a classic flap. Perhaps like bags like the Mini and the Vanity, they're still at that price point where maybe you have to be a good client to be offered something like that. And by a good client, I mean by fine jewelry and ready to wear. When it comes to bags like the classic flap, I honestly think that it's priced out to the point where you'd only be rich if you were to buy it, because that is so much for a Chanel bag that doesn't necessarily have the longevity as like an Hermes bag in terms of after sales and wear and tear. I was also talking to Mimi on Instagram. Hi, if you're watching, Mimi. And she sent me a quote from the former CEO of Hermes, Jean-Louis Dumas. And the quote from him is, "Luxury is that which you can repair." And I honestly think that that is a really good thing that I value with luxury. I completely got put off brands like Chanel because they don't always give you the full service of after sales when it comes to their vintage bags and even some of their colored modern day bags. And the thing that I like about Hermes is that they can even restore vintage bags. They're really generous with their after sales, and that shows that you can invest in their products and you can have them for many generations. I also think that Louis Vuitton is really good at after sales, and they do offer repairs quite loosely with their older bags as well. And I think that is true luxury, when a brand can salvage items that they've had for many years. And I mean, at Chanel, they definitely do offer that service for their ready to wear. You can get it altered multiple times throughout your life. Like a little black Chanel jacket, you can get it taken in, taken out, like up and down 2 sizes, and they will do that for you. But when it comes to their leather goods, they don't offer that same
service. I honestly think that, yeah, for me, luxury is something that needs to last. I also feel like luxury, for me, it needs to be something that is slow. It needs to be something that takes a long time to make, something that takes you a long time to decide to buy. It needs to be, the service, I feel like, needs to be slow in the store. You need to have that luxurious experience. It's important when buying something of luxury. It feels like a treat. It feels very indulgent. It needs to also, I guess, be something that means something. And I feel like the way that I've been buying luxury the last few years has not been very luxurious. I have been very sucked into these, collections that constantly come out. I mean, Loewe have been releasing a lot of popular collections, and I was very tempted this year. I bought quite a few Loewe bags, one of which I had to send back because the quality was not the best. Also, in the past, I've been sucked into buying a lot of Louis Vuitton bags, season after season, because they just release stuff too fast. And the thing I like about some brands, like I guess like Hermes, or even like maybe a brand like Delvaux, or some more under the radar brands, they are very slow with what they release, and it takes you a while to actually get a bag and enjoy it. I really like that kind of luxury where you can take your time, and it kind of is more of a treat to be offered something, or a treat to go in every now and then. It's not something that you like overindulge in. It's something that remains special. And I always find that when I go to like a shop like Hermes, they don't rush me there. Like, I definitely get the good service. I'm not like, you might have to wait in a line if you didn't make an appointment, but I know the experience there is a lot less rushed than some other brands, like in, out, and it becomes a little bit like that fast fashion vibe. And I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like some brands, it's definitely becoming like that. And I think luxury should be really about that one-to-one service and taking your time with that client. But it can't always be like that when there's a massive line and you really just need to churn out the sales. There's a lot of pressure put on sales associates to make targets as well. So you can't always give the client that time if they are not necessarily willing to buy that day. And I don't think luxury should be about being spontaneous either. I think it should be something that is taken slow and that you're able to appreciate and really research as well. I don't know, I guess in the past it was probably more like that. Maybe that's why some brands used to be better quality, because there wasn't as much of a fast-paced environment in luxury. But now I feel like it's really started to speed up, and I feel like we need to slow it down a little bit. And perhaps the reason why these brands have priced their bags the way that they are now, like even YSL has had a lot of price increases, that like they're a lot higher, the prices. It might slow down the rate at which we consume these pieces as well. And maybe, maybe there will be a slower pace within fashion again than there has been the last few years, because I feel like the amount of things and bags that I've been buying, and that like people who are like middle class, like not even these rich people, they've been so enticed by all this marketing and they've just been buying. It's kind of lost the feeling of being luxurious when it's over abused like that. And I definitely have felt that within myself. And it's hard because I feel like the clientele which luxury brands are targeting these days tend to be a lot younger, and that's through their use of marketing with the celebrities that they use. So for example, I've noticed that Chanel, like their latest brand ambassador, Jennie from Blackpink, who I love, but I feel like she's definitely someone who would appeal to younger people. She's always sporting Chanel in like the film clips and, out on the street. Obviously, they give her the clothes, but in the past, it was more people like Keira Knightley and Nicole Kidman. I feel like they were faces that would appeal to people who are probably over 32, but Jennie from Blackpink is definitely targeting a younger market. This is probably because there are a lot of younger people these days who have a lot of money, but I think it's also dangerous because it can appeal to younger people who, maybe get tempted to use credit cards and just want to have the latest looks all the time. A dangerous mistake to make when you're young, and I've definitely been there. I mean, I never used credit cards, but I definitely probably spent too much money on luxury. And that's probably because I was influenced by celebrities, I guess, as well. But I've just noticed a lot of brands using younger kind of influencers to market their brands, as opposed to what used to happen maybe 10 years ago. And that can be dangerous for, I think, kids growing up as well. Like, it never used to be normal to buy luxury, but I guess now it's becoming like a mainstream thing to do from social media, probably in a way is ruining the desirability of brands. And it perhaps maybe luxury now is really just about those brands that the mainstream people don't know, or like people like me. They're those very under the radar brands that aren't so showy and, you know, a little bit more exclusive. Maybe brands like Joseph Duclos, which Jen introduced me to, you know, those kinds of brands. Maybe Delvaux, like they're not as spoken about on social media. Maybe that is the true luxury. I thought it was really interesting the other day. I was actually watching Tamara Kalanik's Hermes unboxing, which I loved. And she actually unboxed a non-quota bag, which was this like little cylinder bag, which I thought was such an interesting choice, because usually I see a lot of these like big influencers only unbox like Birkins and Kellys. And maybe even it's going to become a trend to buy those more under the radar bags and like more of the if you know, you know kind of thing. Maybe she's starting to sense too that, I don't know guys, but maybe she is starting to sense that, you know, it's more about those like interesting shapes and more chic bags than the things that are oversaturated on social media. Because like Birkins and Kellys, I love them obviously, but they are not the most interesting choice at this point. Like, we have kind of seen them all over like YouTube. And I think there will be a trend, honestly, to go for those more under the radar bags that not everyone will know, or only people in fashion will understand. And that is something that you'll only know about if you are super rich or part of like a rich society, or if you really have good taste in fashion. And I have noticed on a lot of the runway shows recently as well that a lot of the brands were kind of paring back their designs, making them less about the logo and a little bit more about the design and simplicity of the bag. And maybe luxury brands are sensing that luxury is starting to get ruined by the overconsumption of it. It's almost too recognizable now that it becomes not as desirable, a little bit boring. Anyway, I had a lot of thoughts about luxury today, so let me know guys, what does luxury mean to you? For me, I think it should be something that you take a long time to buy. I haven't been good at that in the past. I honestly over-abuse buying luxury pieces. I think it should be about longevity. I think it should be something that is well made. And honestly, I think it should be something that is expensive. Luxury is expensive, and it's not something you necessarily indulge in all the time, but should be something that maybe means something to you, or that made you feel really good. Anyways guys, thanks for listening to me blab on as usual, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Bye!